Welcome,
Okay,
everybody. My name is Andrew Mansheim, and I teach math at East Campus.
And I'm Jake Winters, and I teach math at the Quad Cities campus most of the time, but I do sometimes teach at the East Campus as well. So next, let's talk about the Developmental Math program. Not all of you who come to Blackhawk College are going to need this. We have a Developmental Math program specifically to help students who are a little bit behind. A lot of times if you had a few years, if you took a gap year after high school, or if you wait a few years before going back to school, you forget about some of the things that you learned in high school, and math is one of those things that you have to keep up with, or you forget a lot about it. So we have classes like basic arithmetic, pre-algebra to help you get ready for the algebra courses that we offer. We also have an option for students who are not going to be going through a STEM program. So the STEM fields are fields in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. Any kind of major that falls into one of those branches would be considered a STEM major. So if you're going through a STEM major, you're typically going to need a lot more math, and so we want to make sure we prepare you properly with these courses. But if you don't need a whole lot of math, we don't need to prepare you as much, and we can prepare you for our general ed program with a slightly lighter load through the math literacy program.
We had a question. They were texting me because we're having audio issues. But they wanted to know what happens if you switch programs. You start in one and then decide you want to go back, or maybe vice versa.
Oh, that's a really good question. So yeah, it's actually really common to. So you're talking about majors, I'm thinking. So it's really common to switch your major all the time. I did it a couple of times my first few years. What's great about a community college is we're not really focusing on a specific major. We're going to help you get the requirements that you need for whatever major you want to be in. But our focus is more to get you ready to transfer to whatever university you're going to go to prepare you for the classes that you need at that university. But mostly to get your general education requirements out of the way. So if you want to switch your majors, the community college is probably the best place to make those switches. You'll have a lot smaller classes, and so your faculty can help talk to you about the different courses that you need in their different programs.
And you can talk to an advisor at our school about the steps required to change. It's like Jake said, it's very common to switch majors. And there's nothing wrong with that at all, because especially at the community college level, you're not going to lose any of those hard-earned credits that you did. A lot of those credits that you've earned as you switch majors, those are already general eds that will apply to your new program that you're studying.
Yeah, here's a nice example. Let's pretend that you decide to major in physics, and so you're taking all of your math classes and you're loving your math. You get through Calc 1, Calc 2, Calc 3, and then you decide you don't like physics anymore and want to make a drastic change to graphic design. Okay, so then you don't really need Calc 1, 2, or 3 for a graphic design major, but the Calc 1, 2, and 3 still covers your general education requirements for math. So those courses will still help you.
And in general, as an advisor, we're probably going to suggest that you take that higher level of math if you think that it might be a possibility, because that's more all-encompassing.
So
that was a very good question. Thank you for asking that.
Yeah, that's all I have to say about the developmental program. We have several different pathways for transfer courses. We have our STEM pathway, and I've listed out the courses that that fall into the STEM pathway. You wouldn't need all of these courses if you're doing a STEM major. For example, a medical doctor sometimes only needs Calc 1, depending on the med program. Sometimes they'll need Calc 1 through 3. But they're not gonna need discrete math, linear algebra, or differential equations. On the other hand, someone who's taking physics would need Calc 1, or who's majoring in physics would need Calc 1, 2, and 3. They would also need linear algebra and differential equations, but they wouldn't need discrete math. And then computer science, a programming computer science major would need Calc 1, 2, and 3 and discrete math. Possibly linear algebra, but not differential equations. So it really depends on what you're going to major in, which courses you need. Same thing with business. Some business majors will require a business statistics course, while others don't. So you can work with your advisors and the faculty members at the college, and we'll help you figure out what courses you need for your major. We'll also even help you do the research for the institutions that you plan to transfer to make sure you're picking the right courses in case they have different requirements. And then for those of you not planning to do STEM or business, if you're going into a non-STEM route that's not business, then you're not going to need a whole lot of math. That doesn't mean you can't take this other math, and you know, it's all there. You're allowed to take it anytime. But if you're not interested in taking it, then you don't necessarily need it. And we've got these general education math courses available, general education statistics and general education math, and they are both a hoot. They're a lot of fun. I'm teaching statistics this semester, and we're finishing up our discrete, we're talking about some topics in probability, and we're finishing up one of the topics, and I think, I don't know, it's just a lot of fun. We're looking at data and different things and seeing how we can actually describe something. So we're describing randomness, right? Something so random, so strange, something that should be so hard to pin down, but we're talking about it in a very logical, mathematical, and concise way. So we can talk about something random and logically agree on how likely something is. It's kind of cool. Okay.
I wanted to add too, Jake, that with the Math 108 and Math 110, the statistics for general ed and math for general ed, if you're thinking about going the non-STEM route, going back to that question earlier, there are some really highly paid non-STEM majors, and some that come to mind: nursing, you know, students that want to graduate pretty quickly into a well-paying career, that's one. If you're wanting to get into economics or finance, accounting, real estate, those are all examples of non-STEM majors. And this statistics class that Jake was telling us about, it's such a fun course to study, that the topics you'll learn in there. So you're investigating a lot of different ways we can calculate and make interpretations for all sorts of different calculations. And Jake brought up probability, which is such a large concept that we encounter in everyday life. But the non-STEM route is definitely a good way to go too if you're looking to get into one of those fields that I mentioned a moment ago.
Yeah, we both talked a lot about the stats course. Let me just say a few words about the general ed math course. This course is really cool. It's like a survey course. It covers several different topics. So we have to cover at least 3 different topics in the course, and we all decided that we're going to cover a little bit of statistics. So if you wanted to learn a little bit more about math, you'll still get the statistics in this course. We're also going to talk a little bit about finance in this course, and then every instructor gets to pick at least one other topic. So we have to cover at least 3 topics, and those topics can include logic and sets, which is what I typically like to cover. Another topic that I like to cover a lot when I teach this class is graph theory. When I was studying in school, my favorite areas were in the pure math, but specifically the mathematics of computer science, which is a very, very applicable branch of pure math. It deals a lot with the logic, algorithms, and that type of stuff. Andrew, did you want to talk a little bit about the co-recs? I know you're doing more with that than I am.
Yes, absolutely. And I was going to add real quick too to the Math 110. So Jake was saying the finance and statistics units are required for the Math for General Education course. And then he went into some of the optional areas there too. Another one that I like to teach when I do this course is sets and logic, where you kind of explore the union, intersection, and complement of sets. And you look at truth tables, which are really fun, Venn diagrams, and some other symbolic forms. But yeah, so the co-requisites, we have two co-requisites. We have one for the statistics class, then we have another one for our math for general ed. Now, these are support classes. So if you don't place into statistics, math 108, or math for general ed, math 110, what happens is we can put you into the co-requisite. And what this class is we meet a couple times a week. And what happens is what we'll do is we'll get some added lecture to help strengthen the concepts we learn in statistics, for example. I like to play some study skills videos for my students. And we also do a lot of group work on problems, because group work kind of allows us to collaborate and bounce ideas off of one another. So I also assign some study skills assignments in this class. So I teach you tips about time management, motivational skills, and other study skills. But in this class, it's really great to take the co-requisite if you're one of those students that you didn't place high enough into statistics or the math for general ed, then this is a good route to go, because you get that extra support with learning the math concepts.
Yeah, so what the co-recs would let you do is if you, let's say you place into these courses here, the developmental course, let me see if I can zoom out a bit. So you place into the math literacy courses. Instead of taking these math literacy courses, you get to skip right into your college course, and you take the co-rec with that instead of taking developmental math. It saves you a semester of coursework.
Thank you, Jake. And I think that was something I didn't point out, that you're taking these two classes simultaneously. So the co-requisite for statistics would go along in the same semester as the statistics. And similarly for the co-requisite for the mathematics for general ed, you take that at the same time as the math 110 mathematics for general ed.
All right.
Procrastination will only not help you. It's so you want to kind of embrace the language of math and recognize where you can use it just in your everyday life. I'll let Jake add.
Here's a so I'm reading the comment from Gabby, and it's advice for students who really try to put off math. So if you're trying to put off math, it's probably because you don't like it very much or you don't care too much for it. So why would you want to put that off until the last minute? Get it out of the way. So that's me just being kind of funny, but also serious. But at the same time, if you have trouble with math, community college is a great place to get your math taken care of. If you wait until you're at a university to get your gen ed maths out of the way, you'll probably be in a lecture hall. Well, someday maybe if things go back to normal, you'll be in a lecture hall with over 100 other students. Your professor's likely not going to know your name, and they're probably also not going to be too helpful to you. They'll instead send you to a tutoring center. They typically at universities, they like to reserve their office hours more for their upper level students because the universities have tutoring for their lower classes. At a community college, we only have those lower classes, and we love to just help our students. So,
Yeah, and to add to what Jake's saying, I love helping my students because I know how important it is to be good at math. Even if you're going the non-STEM route, and even if you may not use math in your career someday, it all goes to simple things like budgeting your expenses monthly and doing your taxes and investing. Those are all areas where you need to have a strong background in math. And I would like to add too that, Jake and I are both advisors for the math club. Jake is an advisor for the math club at the Quad Cities campus, and I am at East Campus. And if you're wondering about some of the things the clubs do, so the pandemic will end soon, and we're going to go back to doing a lot of the things we can't do right now, including field trips. We've actually taken students to the St. Louis Zoo, Starved Rock State Park, the Museum of Science and Industry in Chicago. We've gone to escape rooms. Last February, we went to Batavia to the Fermi Lab for a tour. And the Fermi Lab does like high energy particle physics. They actually gave us a really cool tour and it was so much fun. But we do a lot of field trips. We also usually ask students if they want to help out with events on campus, such as STEM Fest and Scholastic Bowl. We'll do activities in the community, such as at the Kiwani Library and the YMCA after school program for children. And we have a lot of fun working with kids. So if it's something you're interested in, Jake and I can give you more information. I'll have him speak a little bit too about the math club at Quad Cities.
Yeah, we do things, a lot of what Andrew said. We do a lot of field trips. I just took over the math club not too long ago. I haven't been at the college that long, but the field trip that I took the club on was to the Museum of Science and Industry, and that was the first trip that I went on. It was a ton of fun. The college paid for everything. Well, the club paid for everything. It was through fundraising by the club members, and I'll talk about that in a second. But we raised the money in between budgets from the college, from the student life office, and the club. We were able to cover the entire cost, and it's kind of cool. Anyway, so that was something really cool that we got to do. Last year, we were on track to go to Notre Dame and tour their physics laboratories, and then the pandemic happened, so that got canceled. But we also like to do some cool things too. We do a little more fundraising, I think. I don't know how much you do over at East Campus, Andrew, but we do. In the past, we've done this run every year, and the club, it's a 3.14 mile run. Think about that. And then also think about Sunday, right? We'll have to celebrate that in a second. But it's a 3.14 mile run, and we get members from the community, members from the college, members from the student body, staff, faculty. We get them all involved in the run, and it's a good time. And then afterward, we have pie, because it's the pie run, 3.14, if you didn't figure it out. Speaking of pie, we actually picked this date for the presentation because it's the Friday before Pi Day. So we wanted to say Happy Pi Day to everyone, and hopefully you got this nice little souvenir to celebrate Pi Day, the math book.